Sound of a string quartet, laughter, the gentle clink of champagne glasses. The air smells of gardenias and expensive perfume. My parents' 40th anniversary vow renewal was a picture of perfect, manicured happiness. Under a billowing white canopy in their immaculate backyard, 200 of our closest friends and family watched my father, his hair silvered and distinguished, hold my mother's hands. They were repeating vows they'd written themselves, their eyes glistening. I stood at the side, my arm linked through my husband David's. He looked devastatingly handsome in his tailored navy suit, his smile a practiced, brilliant thing. To everyone watching, we were the perfect supporting cast, the successful architect and his devoted, quiet wife. And then there was my sister, Maya. She was the maid of honor, flitting around our mother, adjusting her veil, her laughter like wind chimes. She caught my eye and blew me a kiss, her expression all sisterly affection. The hypocrisy was so thick I could taste it, metallic and sour, at the back of my throat. My son, or the boy I believed was my son, 5-year-old Leo, was the ring bearer. He stood fidgeting in his little suit, holding the velvet pillow with a seriousness that made my heart ache. As the ceremony concluded and the applause erupted, David leaned down, his breath warm against my ear. "See, Clara? Perfect, just like I said it would be." His words were a caress, but to me, they were a scalpel. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. I simply turned my head and gave him a small, serene smile. "Yes, David," I whispered back, my voice steady as stone. "Absolutely perfect. My name is Clara Thorne. I am 34 years old. For 8 years, I built my life around David and Leo. I put my own art career on hold to support David's, to run our home, to be the mother I'd always dreamed of being. I was the foundation, the invisible force that held our beautiful life together. And they, the two people I loved most, were the termites silently eating away at it from the inside. The crack started small. A lipstick stain on David's collar, a shade called Scarlet Siren, that was Maya's signature. He said it must have been from a client, an overly affectionate woman at a launch party. I wanted to believe him. Then, a long, blonde hair, Maya's shade of honey gold, in his car, caught on the passenger seat headrest. He claimed I must have shed it. My hair is a dark brown. The final, undeniable clue was a single, diamond stud earring I found wedged in the sofa cushions. I recognized it instantly. It was the pair our grandmother had left to Maya. She'd tearfully told me she'd lost 1 month ago. That night, a cold, clear certainty settled over me. This wasn't a random affair. This was my sister. The real betrayal, the one that hollowed me out, came from a forgotten memory. Leo's birth. It had been a traumatic emergency C-section. I'd lost a lot of blood. I remembered drifting in and out of consciousness, the doctor's voices tense. I remembered Maya being there, in the room, her hand clutching mine. "I'm here, Clara. I'm here for you." I'd always remembered it as a moment of sisterly solidarity. Now, I saw it for what it was, the presence of the real mother, watching her child enter the world. They had exploited my trust, my love, my very body's vulnerability. For 5 years, I had loved and raised my sister's son, while she played the fun, doting aunt. For 5 years, my husband had looked me in the eye and called me Leo's mother, all while sharing the secret of his true parentage with my sister. The duration of the deception was a lifetime, Leo's lifetime. My intelligence had always been of a different kind than David's flashy brilliance or Maya's social cunning. I was observant. Patient. I noticed details. And I knew how to research. While David was at work and Leo was at preschool, I became a ghost in my own home. I went through old credit card statements, finding charges for a boutique hotel on afternoons when David was supposedly at site inspections and Maya was at yoga. I accessed his old phone backups on our shared cloud, finding deleted text threads with an unknown number. The messages were mundane, logistics, mostly, but the pattern was undeniable. The key was a discarded water bottle. After a family barbecue, I took the plastic water bottle Maya had been drinking from. I also took Leo's toothbrush. I sent them to a private, discreet DNA testing lab. The wait for the results was the longest 10 days of my life. I moved through my life like an automaton, making school lunches, attending PTA meetings, smiling at my husband, and playing with my son, the living, breathing evidence of their betrayal. When the email arrived, my hands were so cold I could barely type the password. The document loaded. Conclusion: the tested individuals share 50% of their genetic markers, indicating a parent-child relationship. Leo was Maya's son. The foreshadowing was a small, symbolic gesture. I printed 2 copies of the paternity test. I placed one in a sealed manila envelope and addressed it to my parents' lawyer, with instructions to open it only upon my request. The other I kept. That document was no longer just a piece of paper, it was a detonator, and I was holding my thumb over the button. The vow renewal reception was in full swing. The string quartet had been replaced by a jazz band. People were dancing. David was holding court by the bar, and Maya was twirling a laughing Leo on the dance floor. The picture of a happy, united family. I slipped away into my father's quiet study, the scent of his old books a familiar comfort. I took out my phone and opened the secure digital folder where I stored all the evidence. The paternity test PDF. The screenshots of the deleted texts. The hotel receipts. I attached them to a single email. In the subject line, I wrote, "The truth about Leo." I didn't send it to anyone. Not yet. Instead, I walked over to the large, wall-mounted monitor my father used for video conferences. With a few clicks, I mirrored my phone's screen to it. The desktop was now blank, waiting. The power had shifted. The stage was set. They were celebrating in the garden, oblivious that the foundation of their lives was now a trapdoor, and I was about to pull the lever that I found David first, refilling his glass of whiskey. "Can I talk to you for a moment?" "In Dad's study?" "It's important." He followed me, a look of mild annoyance on his face. "What is it, Clara?" "I'm in the middle of a conversation with a very important client." I closed the study door behind us. "It's about Leo." His expression tightened. "What about him?" "I know, David. I know he's not my son." He cycled through the emotions perfectly. First, anger. "What in the world are you talking about? Have you lost your mind?" "The stress of today has." "I have the paternity test," I said, my voice flat, cutting through his bluster. I held up my phone, the results clear on the screen. The anger dissolved into manipulation. "Clara, my love, please. It was a mistake. One time, a moment of weakness after you'd had the surgery and were so distant. Maya was there for me. It meant nothing. We were going to tell you, but then you loved him so much. We did it for you. To protect you. You did it for me." I actually let out a soft, disbelieving laugh. "You let me believe he was mine for 5 years to protect me?" Then, the begging came. "Please, Clara. Think of Leo. He loves you. You're his mother in every way that matters. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. We'll be a family. Just don't tell anyone. Think of the scandal. Your parents." It was at that moment I opened the study door. Maya was standing there, her face frozen in a mask of panic. She'd been listening. "He's right, Clara," she whispered, tears already forming. "It was a horrible mistake. I was young and stupid. I was so jealous of you and David. Please, forgive us. For Leo's sake." I looked from my husband's pleading face to my sister's tear-streaked one. The performance was over. It's too late for begging, I said. I walked to the monitor and tapped my phone. The screen lit up, displaying the email I had drafted. You see that? It's addressed to everyone. Mom, Dad, Uncle Robert, Aunt Sarah, all your friends, David's partners at the firm. All I have to do is press send. David's face went ashen. Clara, no. But I'm not going to send an email, I said, my finger hovering over my screen. That's too impersonal for a family matter. I tapped again. And on the large, wall-mounted monitor, for anyone in the study and now gathering at the door to see, the paternity test results appeared in massive, undeniable detail. Conclusion: the tested individuals share 50% of their genetic markers, indicating a parent-child relationship. Followed by a photo of the hotel receipt. The sound that came from my mother's mouth, from where she now stood in the doorway, was one of pure, unadulterated agony. The aftermath was a quiet, domestic explosion. The party died instantly. The music stopped. The laughter choked off. Guests were hurriedly ushered out by my ashen-faced father. The beautiful, perfect day was in ruins. Later, in the shattered silence of the house, my father held my hands. His own were trembling. Clara, my dear girl. All these years. Why didn't you say something? Why did you bear it alone? I looked at him, my own tears finally coming, not for David or Maya, but for the loss of the life I thought I had. I needed to be sure, Dad. And I needed them to feel safe. I needed them to be in a room full of everyone they loved and respected, so that when the truth came out, they would have nowhere to hide. My mother was inconsolable, her anger directed squarely at Maya. My own daughter, she sobbed. You let her raise your child? You watched her struggle with his nightmares, his fevers, his first day of school, and you said nothing? You are not my daughter. David tried one last, feeble justification. We were going to tell her when the time was right. When would that have been, David? I asked, my voice tired. When Leo was 10? 18? On my deathbed? The right time passed 5 years ago in a hospital delivery room. The collapse was not financial, but social and emotional, and in its own way, far more brutal. David's reputation didn't just take a hit, it was annihilated. The story was too salacious, too Shakespearean. The powerful architect who cheated on his wife with her own sister and passed the child off as hers? His partners, fearing for the firm's image, quietly forced him out. The important clients vanished. But the true collapse was within the family. He is a pariah. His own parents are disgusted with him. He lives in a small apartment, trying to get shared custody of Leo, but the courts are looking very unfavorably upon a man who perpetuated such a massive fraud on a child's identity. Maya's downfall was even more complete. She is utterly alone. Our parents have, for all intents and purposes, disowned her. Her friends see her as a monster. She has no career to speak of, having lived off family money and the generosity of men. She has the thing she always wanted, her son, but she has him in a sterile, 2-bedroom apartment, with no family, no support system, and the crushing weight of the truth. She is now a full-time mother to a confused 5-year-old who keeps asking for Mommy Clara. The role she coveted has become her prison. The ultimate brutality is the legal one. Using the evidence of their deception, my lawyer is arguing for me to retain primary custody of Leo, on the grounds of their profound unfitness and the emotional abuse inflicted upon both me and the child. The paternity test, the very document that proved I was not his biological mother, became my key weapon to keep the son I love, and to sever him, as much as possible, from the toxic people who created him. I moved out of the cold, modern house David designed and into a cozy, light-filled cottage with a studio space for my art. It's messy, and lived in, and real. Leo lives with me. The court recognized the bond we share is the only true parent-child relationship he has ever known. I am his legal guardian. The love I have for him is unchanged. It was the lie that was the poison, not the child. I am in therapy. I am painting again. My work is darker now, more powerful. It sells. The poetic justice is absolute. Maya, who stole my life, now lives in obscurity, watching from the sidelines as I raise her son. David, who valued his reputation above all else, is now defined by his infamy. The very secret they thought would bind them together has exploded and left them in solitary ruins. They thought my quietness was weakness. They mistook my devotion for blindness. But a silent river runs deep, and when it finally breaks its banks, it washes away everything in its path. They didn't just break my heart, they tried to steal my identity. But I took it back, and in the process, I found a stronger, truer version of myself, a mother, not by blood, but by the unbreakable force of a love they could never comprehend. If you believe in a mother's right to fight for her child, no matter what, tell me in the comments. And for more stories of those who rise from the ashes, hit subscribe.